I don't
I'll
need to
keep it
swear.
clean-ish. I'll run with this for now though, because it's a different setting than usual. What's up, people? So, different crew here today. Aaron is out this week, and so it is just me. Oh, look at that. It's just me from our original crew. We've got Shaolin, who's usually our producer, is now on camera, um, really breaking the Web3 anonymousness. But there he is. And we've got Dylan, who's one of our engineers here, too. Bit of a different format today. I think we're just kind of hanging out. Gonna see what these guys are working on. I have some things to share, but we're going into a long weekend, so figured let's keep it casual since we are one half of my original crew. So, Shaolin, Dylan, let's do some quick intros for everybody here. Who may not know you. Shaolin, go first. Everyone knows Shaolin.
Uh,
Go for it.
Everyone knows Shaolin, definitely. I mean, I've definitely shown my face now a couple times, especially through our new user onboarding that happens on Tuesdays at 5 p.m.
Shameless plug.
Eastern, as well as our community calls. Normally, you'll see me on there talking with, usually go over, the hot topic of the month. But yeah, for other people who don't know, I'm the community manager by title and by trade. I'm also doing support. So anybody that has issues with hardware or shop stuff, I'm usually your first round of contact as well. So anything that makes our customer successful, I'm your man. Dylan?
Hi. Okay. Bit of a surprise. I probably would have done my hair. Uh, yeah. I'm Dylan. I've worked here. I worked with Ben a long time ago. Different life. You know,
Different life.
I program. I like anything with data or math or stuff. I like. And so when you have called up, I said okay. So we're here. I guess we've basically been here since the start. Um, Shaolin not that long after. So I pretty much anything on the back end. You have anything's wrong with the app, some button or something. It's not me. Um, everything else, I probably have some hand in for better or worse. Yeah, that's me. You know,
That's you.
unlike
All
everyone
right.
else, I don't live in New York, but
Shaolin
I
doesn't
guess
live in
that's
New
it.
York either.
No, he
I
doesn't.
live
There's
there
not
No,
either.
there's not that many of us out here. Okay, I think
I
it
don't
gets
know. It seems like
overblown.
everyone's in New York.
Everyone's visiting New York always. There's really not that
Hmm.
many of us out here normally, but um, yeah, I don't know. It's good to get it's good to get some other people on here and
Yeah, the
just hang
humble
out.
Midwest perspective.
A humble Midwest perspective. Uh, Shaolin, I know you're doing a lot of, in addition to the support stuff, I know you're doing a lot of the DBC stuff. Um, decoding things. Why don't we, I really haven't been synced up with you on any of that. I know there's some cool updates that are coming. Based off of that, we're going to get a lot more data from vehicles that are making hardware connections, and a lot of that is due in part to people who are, in the community, as well as people like you who are, helping us understand what these cars are saying. So, what have you been up to on any of that sort of stuff?
Uh, Also, for anyone out there watching, I'm looking at our YouTube and Twitter live stream, and it looks like my internet is just doo-doo again.
Yeah, you
So
do
just in
not look
case
great.
I like clip out or anything, just to let you know, I'm aware of that one. If I could fix it, I would, but that's the Midwest style life for you. Um, well, I mean, Dylan looks fantastic over here. I mean, I know he's included. But yeah, okay, so to get into it, I've been doing more DBC decoding. What that means is your vehicle, as we all know, part of the DIMO project, your vehicle is one of the largest IoT devices that you own, which generates data and data and data. And that data actually is passed on into the CAN bus. And that is just like one of the little computer systems that your car has, and it just kind of transmits data through that. Our device plugs directly into the OBD2 port, which is able to capture that data. And then what we're able to do with that is do something called DBC decoding, or I believe it is, I don't know, I think it's data bus connection. Let me double check. now I feel like I should know what I'm talking about here, but it's also kind of like, But basically, it's all about decoding CAN codes. And CAN codes is a language in which your car speaks. This was federally mandated in 2008. So all vehicles have to basically speak CAN. And what we're doing with DBC decoding is we're taking that CAN message and we're turning it in from computer speak into human readable format. So it's going to spit out a bunch of hex codes to you and a bunch of format and headers. And then what we're trying to do with that is we're actually trying to convert that over into something that we could actually see. So recently we just got all of the VINs for all of our cars from 2008. Hey, here's this message that we got. We finally decoded it, and now we could say, cool, this VIN actually is whatever your car says it is. And so now whenever you plug your device into it, it's able to verify that your VIN is correct. And then that way we could tell which also in return helps validate our network. So
who actually wants to, what do you actually, because I'm gonna just out myself here. I mean, I have been completely not in the dark, but this has been a process that I have just not been a part of at all, in terms of, there's all this other stuff that we're all doing over here. This is like, I don't even, what actually even goes into this? Like, what skill set do you need? Who can do this? Because we have a lot of people in the community who are trying to do this, but like, what does somebody need to actually get started doing this, and what does this process actually look like? Because for me, I'm just like, I assume we have all these cars, and I'm like, whatever. There we go. We have all this data, and that's for like, somebody else figures it out, and you're figuring it out, but you're not an engineer, or like, you're not writing code today. So like, what are you actually doing? How are you actually going about this?
So there are a couple ways that we can go about grabbing messages from your vehicle. Thankfully, we have something that is on our Pro website, or DIMO Pro, that allows us to do CAN bus sniffing. So that means whenever your car is on and you have the device plugged in, we could basically just say, hey, sniff my CAN. Fantastically, we call it that way. But what that basically does, it just captures the flow of data that's coming across the CAN bus, and it comes out and just basically like a command terminal. And then from there, you could then take it, and then you just have to do a bunch of stuff with it. So you have to figure out what each header means, and all hex code, and sometimes you have to translate the hex code to decimal, and sometimes you have to translate the decimal stuff to ASCII, which is more human readable. And it just takes some time and a little bit more advanced know-how. I'm still learning how to do it myself, so I'm not very proficient with it, but I could at least kind of show you what a DBC code or DBC format would look like.
Yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
And let me know if you guys can actually see it.
Yeah, I can see it. I want to do this, and then I want to obviously give Dylan the floor too, so he's not just hanging out. Dylan, you don't just shake your head. You're here. You're hanging out with us. You get to. You don't get to just sit there, be a head.
He's in it to win it. All right, so we're going to break down what a DBC message is. Now, keep in mind that this one actually is decoded, so this is kind of like what it would look like when done. The first thing we're going to see here is this is kind of you could think of it as like a bundle. So it's a bundle of whatever the frame is. So this 500 here is actually the header, and then we have what this would eventually be. So this is the IO debug. So anything that kind of comes through it, this would be the message that would say, hey, look for IO debug. This is what it is. This right here is how many bytes the actual length is. So it's 4 bytes. And I think it could go up to 8 bytes, and it can actually go up even longer than that too. And then this is also the prefix of who the sender is. So this is the IO that's sending it. Sometimes what you'll see is vendor underscore XXX. What that just means is who is sending it, so it's not verified, but it doesn't mean you can't actually use it. Mm-hmm. So that's the bundle. Now we have the signal. This is the actual file in which we can use and go in there and actually start decoding scans. This is a signal, IO debug test, and this is unsigned. This will kind of come into a little bit later. So we can see here we just have a bunch of numbers. What do these numbers mean? Well, the first thing we're going to see here is this actually starts byte 0, and it's going to go, it's byte 0, and it's 8 bytes long. What the at means is it a little Indian or a big Indian? So you have to figure out, what exactly it means. We could go into that later, but for just right now, I'll just kind of pass over that. So 1 would mean it's a little Indian, and a 0 would mean it's a big Indian. And then you want to know if you would like to know if it's signed or unsigned code. The plus actually means it's unsigned, and a minus would mean it's signed. I think it's a little backwards on why they would do it that way, but hey, I'm not the guy who made the language, so I just have to work with it. The first thing we have to do here is see the scale and the offset. So 1 is the first scale, and it's offset by 0, so pretty easy. And then max. You could call this the baud rate. So normally min would always, max could be anywhere from like 1, 2, 3, all the way up to like 500,000. And then this right here, you would see if it'd be a converter. So for example, this was in kilometers, you put km and it would eventually convert to kilometers. And then, yeah, you would get then your signer. So that is the first way of starting to kind of learn how to do DBC decoding.
Huh. All right. How does somebody get involved in this if they want to do it? Do they DM you?
They could DM me. We're still trying to find better instructors, people who have no idea how to get into DBC decoding to start to becoming more proficient in it. But basically, CSS Electronics has a fantastic guide that people could go check out. I do have that pinned in the channel right now. It's just an intro to tell us, that kind of gives you the history of the language and why it's important to have. But more importantly, the more of this that we have, the more data all of our users can see.
Cool. So the difference between a car that we have decoded and a car we haven't decoded, both of you guys, just so everybody's clear, because people ask us, why don't we see, do you support me here? Why do I see this? Why do I not see that? My friend sees this. I don't see this. I see that. My friend doesn't see that. A lot of this, plays into that these sorts of issues here. But I mean, both of you guys, or either one of you guys, talk a little bit about, what the difference is. Why is this important here?
Oh, the important, especially for DBC files and everything, is because, we might have some information on one person's vehicle that we might not have on the other person's vehicle. So getting those files is truly important, because that person who doesn't have information will now start getting it. And if we happen to obtain more files on the guy who has their car decoded, well, we could even now start doing even through Smart Car right now, we have lock on unlock features. There's actually a way that you could send lock unlock commands to your vehicle using that device once we. So, the features that we'll actually be able to implement within our app is going to be, the sky's the limit there because of all that information we could get.
I got you. Dylan, anything to add here? Suspiciously quiet.
Well, I'm trying to get I'll explain why. But no, I've got nothing to add. It's just like decoding is an ongoing process for us. I guess I would say, like, if you don't see signals already, like, we are definitely working on it. Yeah, I mean, we just more and more cars get decoded, more and more things come in. Like, I know this week we I feel like this isn't like top secret, right? Like, just even getting just getting odometer from the Y class of cars took a lot of work by, I think Ev mostly did it, and then like, once one person figures it out, like, most of these codes apply to like a whole manufacturer, so you can have a lot of impact, right? And yeah, my hat is off to people who do that. I'm not a big car guy.
I'm not a big car guy, he says, working at DBC.
Yeah.
It happens. Okay, Dylan, what are you working on, dude?
Okay. So the reason I was so quiet was I was trying to, like, I mean, you guys, you got all these screens, and Aaron just types a few things, and he, something moves, and I don't have that, right? So this is just, okay, so we're just going to talk about what we're doing. So I was hoping, so it's what to say. So once your company gets of a certain size, like I think last year there was like I don't know, less than 10 of us. Um, you sort of reach the organizational growth, now whatever growth phase where you start talking about things you didn't actually do, and it's like you're taking credit for them, and it's kind of gross. Um, so I guess what Ben suggested talking about is Allison, who also works here doing the same things, um, has been working on this trip detection stuff. So I can show off a little bit of what we've been doing for that. Um, Let me share screen here. Hold on. Yeah. Where is it? Okay. So where do I do this? How do I do this? Share screen. Okay. Um, let's say let's do entire screen. I'm extremely brave. No, nobody send me anything embarrassing. Um, okay. So trip detection. I guess. Oh man, I wish I had her demo. Um, these are some slides we made. I don't know, this was a long time ago, but like pretty much. So what DIMO gets? I mean, what any vehicle telematics outfit gets, right? It's just like little signals, right? Points and times. It's very I mean, the x-axis is always time, and you just get a bunch of like um, data points. So no one. You can. I think we have seen people done this, like try to segment, oh, here's a drive by, the engine starts and the engine stops. Well, first of all, we don't have all those events for every car, like especially for like Teslas and stuff. We don't get that. So we've been trying to do, I guess, what's called in sort of the data engineering world, like session windowing, which is pretty much like, you know, data comes in and you sort of split it up by each driver, and you sort of say what you count as activity. Now here, like the proxy is speed non-zero. If you're stuck in traffic, maybe that's not such a good measure, but it's one you can use. And you say what you count as activity, and then you look for gaps. You step along, and as soon as someone goes idle, you kind of, the clock starts ticking, and time runs out, you go back and kill the trip. I mean, what you're trying to do is not like end someone's, oh, I took this journey down the coast, like not just like cut that into a bunch of pieces because they stopped at a light or they went and got gas. Um, and we have all sorts of plans for these, right? Like these sort of inform like how we think about data around mileage and efficiency and driving performance, and also, you'll be able to mint them, so that'll be neat. Um, we're just going to make NFTs out of everything, basically. And so, like, yeah, so I mean, this is just talking about like pretty much the basic dissension within, which is what we were just describing. And
yeah, I mean, how do you guys account for this sort of stuff? How do you guys account for? I mean, we're tracking a trip in terms of like start end, but we're also going to be, I mean, there's a location component of this as well.
Yeah. So
how do you not just go as the bird flies, right? We, started
Oh.
here. Are we snapping to roads and stuff at some point?
Sure. I mean, so one thing someone told me was that it's just, I think we'll snap and we'll not snap. My guess is it should be optional. Okay, you're not going to want to hear this, but like when you have data that's not so great, like I feel like it's good to be honest about it. Like it's just like life's just easier that way. It like in the sense of like maybe for display we should snap. So I guess what Ben is talking about is so the problem is I can't actually show. I don't want to like dox anybody, right? Except for myself. Like
Dox yourself.
I don't know why this is in Manchester. This is kind of strange, but like when you do GPS, like sometimes it's just off. I mean, like, can I drop a pin here? Oh man. So yeah, I mean, like it won't quite follow the road. These things aren't entirely accurate. I think that's useful information to know how accurate the GPS is. But I think just for the user experience, like you probably do want to snap a little bit. Another thing I've seen is that we're trying to not do is, oh, I know. Okay, this is the one. Okay, industry tip. Bing Maps is really good for this. Oh, I doxed myself. That's fine. That's fine. um,
If
that's
anyone
okay.
edits this, edit this out. Edit
Yeah,
this
yeah.
out.
I'm Dylan. I live in Ann Arbor. You know, come fight me.
We live, guys. It's
Yeah,
already
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So,
That's
like,
not his address.
what you can do. Yeah, this isn't. I didn't even know this was a town. But like, what some services will often do is like there are connectivity gaps. Even Tesla or even sort of the super Twilio SuperSIM that we use. Like there can be gaps in coverage. Like the SIM that the vehicle uses to transmit telematics. Some implementations will like store that stuff up while they're out of service and then just kind of blast them at you. That's another thing you have to handle. Some services will just try to like guess. Like if I got a data point here and a data point here, it's like, well, I know we're out from there, and so I'll just stick that in. In my experience, people really don't like that because it's bound to be wrong at some point. Then it's like, this app is lying about me. So yeah, that is one of the things. Like I think as Allison's been digging into that you find, especially if you're like driving your Tesla out in the middle of the desert, like sometimes connectivity will just break, and we have to figure out what to do with it. The autopies actually will store, um, if you go out of coverage, they'll store everything up and then blast it at us. That's another challenge, because a lot of what we're doing is like trying to be time based, and if you just say, okay, by the way, here's an hour's worth of history, and then now I'm going to proceed normally, like programmatically, that's a bit challenging.
I think there's value to an extent of, because you're saying you're not gonna like this. There's we could show snapping to it, or we could show the actual coverage, and there's, I don't know. I feel like there's value to being like, look, this is what our GPS data is. This is what this is what cell coverage is. Here we had a gap here. I get that. Somebody may find that interesting, but when that stuff comes to my plate, it's like I want to create the product that actually works the best and sort of moves, smears over that sort of stuff as much as we can, right? Where we could have the like, here's the raw data that we got.
Yes,
view,
I wouldn't have it as the default.
No, of course not. But even then,
I
it's
think,
like,
yeah.
If you are the kind of person that really wants that data, like, maybe you email Shell.
Yeah. Sorry, maybe it shouldn't even be in the app.
Yeah, I don't know that I would even build that in.
What gets shown to the user is almost. I don't want to say I definitely care about it, but to me, I think what I've seen people do, and this is hard to imagine, but it does happen, is like you start, like, you make things up, or maybe that's a bit harsh, and then you store it, like you made up this route, and you're like, okay, I'll just store that in the database, and now I don't actually know what the truth is. Like, you should always like remember like what the ground facts are. And then if you want to build, nice interpolation and smearing and all that stuff on top of it, I think that's great. But yeah, I guess I mostly worry about this, and then what you do from it once it's in here or on IPFS is kind of.
Talk people through this, because I don't know. I mean, a lot of people don't even look at stuff like this. Pull your chart back. Pull your diagram.
Oh, this is the chart, right? This
Dude, a lot of people don't even. Nobody looks at stuff like this. A lot of people.
Yeah.
So, what I mean.
This is your bog standard streaming architecture, right? This is as Web 2 as it gets, and this would be. I guess like the one Web3 thing I can say is that right now, like sort of data streams through in these big Kafka topics. Kafka is like a message queue. It's got some special properties that make it really nice. I mean, it's more durable than maybe some things people might be used to, but in the end, it's a stream of data. Like this could be streamer. I hope one day it will be streamer. By the way, when I say streamer, it's these guys. And when you go on, decentralized network, great friends of ours, Henri. Cool guy. When you go on the DIMO build page, when you look at the example there, this is a streamer client. Like so this is how you might be able to like hook in your data or the data of someone who's sort of delegated their their stream to you or however. But right now, okay, it's all Kafka, you know, big stream processor thing made it LinkedIn, whatever. It's very reliable. So pretty much all this does is like bring these graphs kind of to life. Like events come in, you analyze them, you sort of store some things you've remembered about them. Like, okay, when was the last time I saw this guy moving? Um, is he moving now? And that sort of like informs whether you want to like open up a trip or close off the trip. Um, and then you send it out here. I mean, this is a fire hose, right? This is every vehicle emitting every, I think 20 seconds is the interval right now, so it's a lot of data. Um, it's very heavy, and you need to be resistant to like all this. You know, in today's modern architecture, like all these, you have to imagine that all these things could disappear at any time, and you need to be able to not lose data and recover and all this stuff. And then you kind of just send out, this is very standard, like control messages, like, okay, trip starts, trip stop, and then you go here. And then to your point, like usually the way you architect this, I don't want to say this is like the only way, but we have some query service over here. This I would like to build on IPFS. This would be awesome. But like here you kind of store the minimal thing, start and end. I don't like having data in two places because like all that happens is it gets out of sync. Um, and so from here you've got start and stop, and then if you want to see like, oh, what were the speeds during that? What was the accelerometer doing? How much charge was used up? You can just go query like the big data pool for, you know, between that start and end and learn whatever you want. Like the idea around trips is to have like, you know, next to just, you know, oh, here are your points on the map, we'll definitely have that. But, and then next to that, like a bunch of sort of, like, I guess you could call it performance type information. And the thing I'd say is that, like, you know, you get all these services set up, but then like the code, this, honestly, this isn't real, I just made this up, but, you know, for all you programmers out there, right, it's kind of like, you know, something comes in, and you check, okay, you know, did I have an old trip lying around that I need to worry about? If not, okay, is he moving? Okay, start a trip. It's very simple if else case by case stuff, and kind of the hard part is all this state management that honestly these days is mostly done for you. I think we have to do a little more than most people because we're kind of a Go shop, and like the ecosystem for all this stuff is much more developed. So, let's look at the cute squirrel. Is developed in the Java world, but you know, we're blockchain. We kind of got to do Go or Rust. Uh, it's a bit of a self-imposed restriction, but anyway, that's what we're doing. It's yeah.
So, I mean, where are, you know, in terms of this stuff, I mean, I know you and Allison have sort of been kicking this around for a little while. You know, where are, you know, what are you guys running into that's being, you know, becoming an issue, or, you know, is
Act normally, and you know, they're always transmitting. They'll even transmit for a bit while they're kind of waiting to go to sleep, and then you can proceed accordingly. But I think what Allison's been kicking around is just some rules. I mean, you could get very fancy with this. I mean, there are a bunch of papers. The papers to me mostly seem to be about like people seem interested in tracking like multimodal. That just means, you know, planes, trains, whatever, like how someone's using like public transit and stuff. So there's not so much about this, and it's definitely not as complicated. But I think for now it's just, what are we doing? I think in general, like for example, like suppose a car goes dark, it doesn't do anything. I think you should be more open to the idea that it's going to appear later, like as opposed to seeing it sort of gracefully fall asleep. I think so, stuff like that. And then when it does come online, you can sort of try to think about, okay, do I think it really took him all this time to move over there, or did he stop in the meantime? That's one thing you can do. You can look at distance traveled, because you will get a new location data point, and then say, so like if, oh no, why does this always happen? So add a push pin, so, oh, okay, maybe Bing's not so good. If I see him there, and then, you know, 20 minutes later, I see him there, like, you know, is that feasible? Like was he driving the whole time? Do I think he stopped? You know, if I see these data points like 3 days apart, then okay, like probably that's not a trip. But if it happens over a short span, then yeah, probably. I think you have to decide what's acceptable to you, and
But how much much of that do you have to fudge though? If you're like, if I
Pretty
have
much
two
all
data,
of it.
right? Because you can't. I mean, you're not going to snap it to a route that this person we don't have them taking. So you
Yes,
just have
that
to,
kind of lying, I think, is probably not worth doing.
probably not worth doing. That's like you took a trip and we didn't get data for that trip.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Like if if you see someone on I-94 and there's a gap, like, okay, I'm pretty sure I know where you were, but
Yeah. No.
yeah, for more complicated
Locations.
things,
Yeah, you could have taken whatever.
yeah,
Which
and
again,
and this does happen.
well, I mean, this is uncovering because you and I haven't really like, Shallon. I know you have to drop also if you need to head out, but I mean, Dylan, you and I have like trips is something that has been like we're building. Bye, Shallon. We'll catch you later. We're building this sort of back end way in advance of doing anything on the front end, right? But eventually we're going to display this stuff on the front end in some capacity. And like, I mean, you and I haven't really synced up on any of this because it's not imminently on my radar. But I mean, something like that is like that's a state that I need to be aware of. You know, you went from here to
Probably.
here. Yeah, but I mean, if I'm looking at a list of trips and I need some sort of like, we know you went on a trip, but we lost you. You know, you drove for whatever reason. Maybe
Yeah.
your autopilot was unplugged or something. You know, maybe it fell out of you unplugged it from the OBD for some reason. Maybe whatever. Maybe there's just terrible cell service for a while, right? I mean, I need now, you know, conversations like these are stuff that we need to have because then I can know, okay, I need a state for like, we know you got there, we know where you were, we don't know how you got there. Maybe you got,
Yeah.
you know, it's one thing to fudge it. It's another thing to say like, I don't know, maybe you got towed there, like you didn't drive there. Maybe you got you know, maybe for whatever reason you towed your car there. Maybe you shipped your car somewhere. You didn't drive cross country. We can't be like you drove.
Yes. If you ever see a trip across the ocean, that's probably a bug.
Well, no, I'm saying, I mean, people buy cars in other states, right? People
Mm-hmm.
ship a car, right? They, you
Yeah.
know, put it on a trailer or whatever. I don't want to say and assume, hey, you know, I need to know, you guys have to reconcile, like, we know this car moved geographically 1,000 miles, but its odometer didn't move. So do we call it a trip or do we call it you were on a tow truck? Do we call it like, you know, is there something different than a trip? So I don't know. It's quite
Yeah.
messy the more you dig
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. The real world's messy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's really easy to connect data points. If you go on for a meeting, then
Yeah. No, I got you.
I think, but I think that's what's nice about the device. So like connectivity loss isn't fatal with the DIMO plugin, like because it can just save it, it can buffer, it'll mostly work. That's nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
You also, I mean, when you're plotting a trip, you've also got, like we're saying, different sort of reference points. It's not just location. You know, if odometer does not go up at all, if you got no data from the car in terms of speed, reasonably assume you didn't take that trip.
Yeah,
How do we troubleshoot that? I don't know.
that's one thing Allison opened my eyes to, just by diving into the data. Like, you know, it's good to use the odometer if you've got it. I was a little scared of that because for a while we didn't have odometer from autopilots, but now we do, and so life is good. Yeah, lots to learn. And then have you thought about like, people are always putting Ben on the spot. Like, Ben, show us some screens, whip us up some magic. Like, you know, what do you think is important to like show people about trips that they take? Because we got, you know, we can compute anything.
Yeah.
I think.
That one I haven't really gotten there yet. I just
That's disappointing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Terrible at my job. I just moved a ton of stuff around rewards and around our referrals and around. I've got some cool like data, vehicle intelligence stuff. I've just moved to hand off for our engineers to begin building. So we'll see that in the app at some point soonish. But that was like my big push for the last couple of weeks, was just to get that stuff done. And then I know trips was something that got you know, came behind rewards, came behind.
Yeah.
Like,
It's definitely less important, and I think that's why we haven't made as much progress on it as I was hoping to.
Yeah, I mean, there's our basic data of, you know, where did you go, when did it happen, how far did you travel, right? But then making that stuff a little bit more like, a little more interesting, you know, to provide some sort of metrics on, like, I don't know, your average speed or how much fuel or charge you used or whatever, you know, any of those things could be, you know, could be contenders to go in there. But also the problem is, because we haven't decoded all, you know, every car ever, or because we just get different data sources from different people,
Yeah.
I can't build a UI that's like centered around one piece of data that we probably get for most cars, but we don't get for all of them. So
No.
that's going to be a whole, there's
Real
going to be a
world's
lot of,
messy.
yeah, there's going to be a lot of you guys on the back end and me and Aaron and whoever else being like, what can we actually do for 99% or 95% of people? You know, knowing that we're going to want to cover more
Yeah.
here, but like,
That's a good point. Oh, and one thing to say, the one thing that pains me is we like trips is at least like trips is not going to happen at least immediately with smart car, like with smart car connections, because I think our sort of frequency with them, some I would pull more if I could, but we get a data point from them for your car every, I think, 4 hours. So we have to do a lot of lying to make a trip out of that.
right. So, and then again, it's like okay, we're building this feature for one chunk or a couple chunks. You know, it's the Tesla and AutoPie chunks of our users, which, again, if we can't cater to, you know, how big of a slice is that really, and what do we, you
It's
know,
pretty big.
it is, but like it's not 99% of our users.
Sure.
Right? There are plenty of people who are waiting for the, you know, the miner to get shipped. There are plenty of people who, you know, don't have the smart card connection right now, or they do and it's not, you know, it's not quick. I mean, or it's every 4 hours. So I mean, there's a, you know, there are reasons why this has been one of those things that we're, you know, you guys are building in the sort of, you know, building it out now so we can get our functionality, get it really down for then as we begin to be able to support more people and ship more hardware, we've got it, you know, really down before we roll out some, you know, some version of it and do a big announcement and then half the people can't use it, you know.
That's sad. Don't want that.
Don't want that. All right. Our abridged build with DIMO. I think I'm gonna call it.
Oh wow, you're gonna kill it. All right.
I mean, I don't have, the thing is, like I just said, you know, I don't have Aaron building stuff out, and I just moved a ton of stuff into handoff, which I guess I could show some of it, but people have already seen a lot of it. So my new stuff is almost too early to even put in front of anybody. So we're taking off a little early for the long weekend, I think.
Oh, that's true. Everybody enjoy.
Everybody enjoy.
Celebrate.
I will do Aaron's sign off.
Oh, he's good at this. Yeah.
He does his whole spiel, and whatever. Something. Download the app if you haven't.
Yeah, Billy Mays. Yeah.
Please download the app. Please join the Discord if you haven't. Connect with all of us. It's fun. Come hang out. Again, download the app, please. Add your car. I don't know why you don't have the app or a car connected if you're watching this, but please do that. We are hiring for a bunch of positions, so get on the whatever it is, the DIMO lever, search DIMO.
Yeah, lever. Let's drop the link. Lever.co/ oh gosh, I don't remember.
Yeah, you'll find it. Look us up, LinkedIn. It's on Lever.
Yeah. It's on our brand new cool website.
Brand new
that
cool
Daniel
website. Yep.
built by himself.
All by himself, totally. No help at all. Yes, do that. We're hiring for everywhere, engineering through operations, I mean, there's lots of stuff. So get on there. We'll see you guys on the next one. Everybody have a good long weekend. And yeah.